Nick, what's the latest?
Yeah, I was just talking to a source who was literally in the room where it happened, where Secretary of State Marco Rubio, I was told, played a massive role in bringing about this ceasefire, a ceasefire that on multiple times today and even yesterday, because it was in the works yesterday, perhaps over the last 48 hours, as we've been reporting, Pakistan was sort of on a military pause to give a window for diplomacy. What I understand from this source is that that was blown out of the window early this morning when India attacked 3 air bases, one of them here in the capital, just on the outskirts of the capital. That, according to the source, Pakistan responded with a relentless, a massive barrage of missiles and rockets, they say, Pakistan says, into Indian military facilities, bases inside India, air bases, weapons storage, and along that disputed line of control in Kashmir against military bases there. They say that this, from the Pakistan perspective, their communications, how they were communicating with Secretary Rubio, that really put India on the back foot. It didn't know what had happened. India, according to Pakistan, reached out to Secretary Rubio, reached out to the Saudis, reached out to the Turks, reached out to others to find a diplomatic off-ramp, got engaged after that onslaught in diplomacy, but telling the mediators that they were going to go on a pause on the Indian side. And then, according to Pakistan, that didn't happen. There was another exchange of rocket fire. That happened several times during the day today. And it was only in the last couple of hours before this ceasefire came into effect, just about an hour or so ago, that there was enough of a pause to call it and say that this was real, that enough diplomacy and leverage had been put on both sides to get them to stop here. Now, the key issue for Pakistan going forward is water. India has still said it's cut off the water from those 3 vital rivers from the mountains in Kashmir, vital to Pakistan, existential to Pakistan. I said, what about that? And the source said, look, this is a ceasefire. Everything works out from there. But from the Pakistan perspective, they've been up all night. From the Indian perspective, they've been up all night. There was a lot of tiredness. There was a sense that they just wanted to get this done. Otherwise, in the words of this source, it would have just spiraled into something much worse. It was now or never, if you will. It was going to get a whole lot worse. So I think a sense of relief here, but a sense of whiplash too, for what the country has been through in the past few days.
Nick Robertson, thank you for the report from Islamabad. Now we go to India. In New Delhi is CNN's Matthew Chance. Matthew?
Hey, Michael. Sorry, having a few technical problems here. Must be the conflict. But look, I mean, it's an astonishing couple of hours, actually, because I was listening to Nick Patton Walsh speak out of Ukraine there about the proposal for a ceasefire there. That's been, or the demand for a ceasefire, that's been very long in coming. It's been more than 3.5 years since the Ukraine war began. And of course, you know, to take a skeptical view, as Nick was pointing out, the Russians have not yet agreed to a ceasefire. But over here on the Indian subcontinent, with this standoff between India and Pakistan, it's not 3.5 years. This latest conflict's only been going on for 3.5 days. And so what Trump has got in his sudden, unexpected announcement of a ceasefire between the two countries is the quick victory that he very much wanted to have but couldn't get with Russia and Ukraine as well. But nevertheless, over the past couple of hours, less than that even, President Trump announcing on his Truth social media platform that a ceasefire has been done between India and Pakistan. That follows a real upsurge in violence between the two nuclear-armed neighbours. Remember, early this morning, India launched unprecedentedly deep attacks inside Pakistan, airstrikes on Pakistani military bases, the deepest inside the country that India has struck for decades, really, since the war between the two countries back in 1971. So extremely serious escalation there that led to a furious Pakistani response. They struck dozens of targets, not just in the disputed territory of Kashmir, but elsewhere in India as well. And, the fact that this was taking place between these two nuclear-armed neighbours, I think, shook the international community and shook the United States in particular into action and basically forced diplomats from Washington to really get engaged and to bring the two sides together to get them to step back from the brink. Remember, it was only a couple of days ago that J.D. Vance, US Vice President, was saying that dispute between India and Pakistan, it's none of our business. Those were the words he literally said. And what we now understand from the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, is that actually there's been a day of intensive negotiations involving him and J.D. Vance speaking to the leadership and the military leaders on both sides of the divide in India and Pakistan, finally getting them to talk and to agree to step back from the brink. Now, there's going to be more talks to finalise this ceasefire, but you know, it seems that for the moment, the threat of a spiralling, escalating conflict between these two countries, India and Pakistan, thankfully has receded, Michael.
Matthew Chance, thank you for the report from New Delhi.